Andre Mills could be the next star for Maryland basketball.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And today's episode is sponsored by FanDuel. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them with a bet on FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Andre Mills could be the next star for Maryland basketball. So I have a bunch of things to say about Andre Mills, but I honestly think he might be the next big thing for Maryland basketball. The freshman guard, the redshirt freshman guard, is starting to show flashes of potential that not a lot of guys have. And him coming from Texas A&M and him not playing a whole year there, redshirting, and Buzz Williams still wanting him, Buzz Williams still recruiting him, and him following Buzz Williams. As soon as that happened, I knew the kid had potential. I didn't know how good he was going to be this year. I didn't know if he would develop. I didn't know if it was going to end up working out at Maryland, but I knew if Buzz Williams wanted to bring back a kid from Texas A&M that redshirted in his only year with Buzz Williams, I knew that Buzz Williams knew something that the rest of the country didn't with Andre Mills, and we're starting to see those flashes come true with him, and I really honestly think the sky's the limit for the kid. Like, I think he can be as good as he wants to be with Andre Mills, but he's had an up and down year. But over these last couple of games, specifically last game against Iowa, he showed plays. He's shown a star power that most guys just don't have. Like, let's just keep it straight. Let's keep it real. Most players just don't have the potential and the tools that he has. Day one, what stood out to me was his athleticism, how he moved, how big he was for a guard, his height, the way he jumped, the way he got rebounds, all those different things that kind of make up your athleticism, your explosiveness, your strength. I was like, okay, this guy's clearly on another level athletically. Now, I wasn't sure if the skills were there, if the offensive skill set was really going to come together. And I think throughout the season, it was definitely up and down. But over the past couple of games, we're starting to see a kid gain more confidence and get better. And a kid that already had a ton of potential and already the sky was the limit to what he could become. That's scary. That is scary for college basketball. That is scary in general when you have a kid like Andre Mills who had all the tools in the world, but is also confident. I talked about it the other day, but I said coming in, he reminded me a lot of Deshaun Harris-Smith. Now, I think he's a little bit more of a fluid, explosive athlete than Deshaun Harris-Smith, but I think it was very similar when he came in. Both lefties, both guys that aren't the most natural offensive players in the game. When I say natural offensive players, you guys know what I mean. You see some guys that you're like, dang, God put them on the earth to play basketball and to score the rock. Like, think of a guy like Darren Peterson. I know he's having a weird freshman year, but in terms of him playing, like, that's one of the most natural offensive players I've ever seen in college. When you see the way he shoots, when you see his ability to create shots, when you see his handles, ability to get to the rim and to be a three-level scorer, it's some of the most natural ability that you'll see. There's guys like that in college basketball. There's guys that are one and done that are like that. There's guys that have played a couple years, just natural shooters of the basketball, natural creators of the basketball, like just really good at those types of things. And to me, I thought Andre Mills, similar to Deshaun Harris-Smith was, I didn't really see him in that vein. I saw him as a really good athlete who could be really good defensively, but I thought, okay, he'll never be a great shooter. He'll never be a 20-point per game scorer. Like, he'll never be that. Like, that's just not who he is, I don't think. I just didn't see it. I didn't think he was fluid offensively. But the scary part about it is he's become arguably our best offensive guy, and he's doing it pretty efficiently as well, which is probably the scariest part about it. It's one thing to score 24. It's another to do it efficiently and still have room to grow. And that's what I'm seeing with Andre Mills. And that's how he's different than Deshaun Harris-Smith. I think he's a better athlete than Deshaun Harris-Smith, but both of them reminded me of each other in terms of their skill set, in terms of kind of being really good at everything besides scoring the basketball. But Deshaun Harris-Smith kind of, it felt like, lost confidence, where Andre Mills is gaining a confidence. And that's exactly what we saw against Iowa. It's what we saw against Purdue. It's also what what he showed against Minnesota and Ohio State in a little bit of a smaller sample size. He showed the ability to be a guy that can be a leader on this team, lead our team in scoring, also be one of the best rebounding guards, I think, in the Big Ten as well. And he's proving that with his 24-point performance against Iowa. It was awesome. It's a 3-level kind of scoring ability that is rare in today's game. And I think he's still best when he's attacking the rim, getting downhill, and getting to the basket. But he's also shot 3 for 6 from the 3-point arc. And to me, that shows a lot. The fact that he's taking them and making them, it's a big improvement in his game. And he only went 3 of 5 from the free throw line. So there's still room for him to grow. If he can get that free throw percentage up, it's pretty down this year, and continue to work on the 3. And we already know him getting to the rim is a problem. When teams have to respect his 3-point shot and his shooting ability, there's star potential there. Like, there's something to be said for him improving this much throughout the season without ever having like an off season in play. Like, it's one thing for him to make a jump in the offseason, and I'm looking at him and he's all of a sudden being able to do this. There hasn't been an offseason. Like, it's not like he's had unlimited time to just work on skills. And so I'm thinking next year, to me, I can't see him leaving. I just don't. He's one of those guys that it just makes sense for him to stay. Like, it just does. He already followed Buzz Williams. Buzz Williams is going to give him a big part of the offense next year, and it's a big part of the team next year, where I think it just makes sense for him to stay. Like, that's how I think it goes for Andre Mills. Like, he's one of those guys that's like kind of like, why would you leave? You're clearly playing your best ball right now under Buzz Williams. Buzz Williams likes you. He trusts you. He's giving you a ton of minutes throughout the year. There's literally zero reason really for a guy like that to go anywhere and to play somewhere else. And that's just how I see it. And so I think his potential next year is really big time. And it could be really big for Maryland basketball, the jump that Andre Mills can make from his redshirt freshman year to his sophomore year. He's already making the jump. We're already kind of seeing it, but to fully complete that jump, I think that could be there. Like, look at, like, in some of the biggest games of the season where we've needed guys to score the ball, we've needed guys to step up. He's done that. Like, he had 16 points against Illinois. And guess how many minutes he played in that game? Only 17 minutes. And then against Purdue, another big game, 18 points. Against Iowa, guess how many minutes he played? The entire game. So it's not like he's at a consistent role. It's not like we figured out exactly what he's been, but we're seeing a guy become more confident. We're seeing a guy shoot the ball well, and shots are falling. And it's like, all right, Andre Mills, what are you? He's also a powerful Showtime dunker as well. So I think heading into next year, he could be one of the main guys that we're really excited about getting back, and that could help us make a tournament push next year, hopefully, and to get back into the dance and be where Maryland basketball should be. I think him and Darius Adams, and potentially another year for El Payne with that freshman class that are coming in with some transfers, that could work. Like, that could work for Maryland basketball, and that could end up really making things look really good. And who knows, maybe Kyrie Walker as well, another guy that we're talking about, old player who's obviously was playing pros. We talked about the other day. Like, if we get some of these guys back and Andre Mills develops like he's supposed to, same thing with Darius Adams, I could have similar conversation. Maryland basketball could make a rebound statement next year. And I think that's all what we're hoping for, is for those guys to rebound, those guys to get back to where Maryland basketball should be, because it just hasn't quite been there. And so I would love to see us get back to that space for Maryland basketball. I think that would be awesome to see us really improve ourselves and get back to the team that we should be. Who is going to be Maryland's wide receiver 1 next year? I think it's an interesting topic. I'm going to throw out some names. Who do I think is actually my leader, though, to do it? I'll talk about that next.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Dawn Staley and South Carolina remain on top of the SEC standings after handing Tennessee their worst defeat in program history with a final score of 93-40. In the 43-point win, South Carolina shot 69% from the field. Tessa Johnson had a perfect shooting night, scoring 24 points, shooting 4 for 4 from the floor, including 2 threes, and made all 4 of her free throws. And UCLA remains undefeated in Big Ten play, topping Michigan 69-66 as Player of the Year contender Lauren Betts put up a double-double, scoring 16 points, collecting 16 rebounds, and adding 5 assists and 3 blocks. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
So who is going to be Maryland's wide receiver 1 next year? I think it's a topic of conversation that's important that we need to talk about because Maryland football hasn't had to worry about the receiver room in I don't know how long. Like, our receivers have been good every single year, it seems like, for a while back now for Maryland football. Like, I don't remember the last time I was like, I'm concerned a little bit about the Maryland football receiver room. Like, whether it had been Ty Felton, whether last year it was Shalik Knotts and Octavian Smith, the Rakeem Jarrett days. Like, it feels like we've always had good receiving rooms. And this is the first year where I'm like, it may be the number one weakness right now for Maryland football. And I kind of want to talk about my thoughts on it because I feel like I've just been saying it's a concern. But right now we haven't picked up anyone new. And so where do I kind of see this thing going for the receiving room? And I do want to say this. I think our tight ends are going to be very involved and could be our number 1 or number 2 receiver. Like, I think that's entirely possible for our tight ends to be able to end up being one of those top guys. Preston Howard, I think, has the potential coming back to Maryland, which I think is an awesome story. Those guys, him and Levon Johnson coming back to Maryland, and Dorian Fleming as well. Like, those 2 guys might be our leading receivers. Like, I think that's a possible world. But for this segment, I do want to focus in on the receiving room and talk about guys that are actually here that I think could actually lead our team in receiving. Now, starting with the guys on our team before I pick one guy, I think there's a couple of guys that could be due for kind of a year, a breakout year, if you will, like what Shalik Knotts had, what Ty Felton had. Like, I think there's a couple guys on the team that could be due for that. One of the main guys is Caleb Webb. He played a lot of football for Maryland last year. He made a lot of big plays and moments. I still kind of not sure how I see him exactly on the team, but he did have 22 receptions, 318 yards last year and 2 touchdowns. Hasn't entered the portal. It was his best year in college football yet. He was a big play threat, and you wonder if he can be more of an every down play because he averaged 14.5 yards per catch. Like, there was it felt like every game he had like one big catch per game. And then after that, he didn't do much. Like, it was 2 receptions for 40 yards against FAU. It was a reception for 20 yards against NIU. It was 2 receptions, 25 yards against Nebraska. 2 receptions, 40 yards against Indiana. 7 receptions against Michigan State for 77 yards. Like, there is something there, and I think he's the leader on the guys that we're getting back to potentially break out and end up being really good for Maryland football. I think another guy is Ryan Manning, who didn't play a ton last year. Him coming into the year, I had a lot of rumblings about Ryan Manning being a guy that could be good. He's another guy that we're kind of waiting for, and it's like, you're an older guy now. Can Ryan Manning step up and be that guy for Maryland football? I think that's possible. And then also the freshman last year, Zymeer Smith. I think he's also another guy that I think definitely has a possibility of stepping up. Guys that were on our team last year. Zymeer Smith, to me, still, I don't know if he gives me wide receiver 1 vibes ever. He could be a really cool gadget guy, like returns, punt, and kicks. We get in the backfield, he plays a little bit of receiver, does a little bit of everything. But I don't know if his size, he does have elite, kind of twitch in athleticism and speed and explosiveness, but I don't know if his size, 5'9", 5'10", allows him to be a receiver 1 for Maryland. And then you have the 2 transfers, Chris Durr Jr., from Wyoming, who had a solid year last year for Wyoming, was probably their best receiver, but still a guy that you look at and you're like, I don't know, to me, if that's a receiver one. Like 45 receptions for 469 yards in his sophomore year. And then you have the kid Naheem Abdul-Rahim Gladding as well, who had a similar stats for ODU. He was also a sophomore last year, so 667 yards and 51 receptions. But I think, to me, the leader in the room out of all the guys I listed to be receiver one, I think, is Naheem Abdul Gladding. I mean, as a sophomore for ODU, 51 receptions, 667 yards, 6 touchdowns, 13.1 average. Like, that's pretty good. He also is 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. Like, he kind of has that size, prototypical size that we want. He's not the biggest cat in the world, but he's definitely a guy with some solid size, which I think is important for Maryland to get some size on the team. Like, I think it's important for them to have some guys that have a little bit of size instead of having receiver room that is extremely small. And so I think he could end up being the receiver one for Maryland. I think he's going to end up doing it, but I also think Caleb Webb is neck and neck for those. I think those two guys could end up being really good. Remember, Caleb Webb was a really high recruit for Tennessee. We looked at him as a guy that could 100% help Maryland football and 100% help Maryland become a good team and really figure it out. So I do think he's also a guy that could end up being the guy. And so I think those are two guys that I feel confident could be receiver one. But I think for me, the kid Durr, I think, could be the third guy and could be solid. I just don't know if he gives me like, oh, he's going to be the leading guy on our team. I could be wrong, though. So I think it's an interesting room. I think Zymer Smith and Ryan Manning will get their chances as well. But I think we could be a tight end-led offense. But I think it's important for Malik Washington to have someone he likes throwing to. And Caleb Webb might have the most comfort with him. But I think the transfers could be really solid. I still kind of have yet to understand how good they are. I think adjusting to the Big Ten could be something. But I would expect Caleb Webb to be a guy. He's been in the system for a year. He was a high-level recruit. It kind of screams that, like, it's really similar. Honestly, I didn't really think about it. It's really similar to Shalik Knox. Like, Caleb Webb could absolutely be the Shalik Knox of next year. Think about it. A guy with good size, Caleb Webb's probably like 6'3", probably, I would say. Maybe a little bit taller. I think he's around 6'3", 6'4", no? And then that's similar as Shalik Knox. Tall body kid, a guy that hasn't played a ton, but both of them were 4-star recruits, high-level players coming out of high school. Obviously, he had a bigger role in his junior year than what Shalik Knox had in his junior year. And so they're similar size guys, similar athletically, I think, can have similar jumps their senior years. Both guys that were highly recruited and were 4-stars coming out of high school. It might be Caleb Webb it's time for him to make that jump. Like, he's going to absolutely get the opportunity to be that guy next year for Maryland football. So I think Caleb Webb and Naheem Abdul Gladding are both guys that I think could be there and could make that jump for Maryland for Maryland football. We'll just have to see. I think it's absolutely theirs to have, and so we'll see what ends up happening for Maryland football. Maryland basketball this weekend has another opportunity to get its third straight Big Ten win, which would be awesome. We'll talk about that next. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life, and this year TurboTax is making it easier than ever just to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by trusted local experts, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. And spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with local TurboTax experts in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives a real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. And for a limited time, you can have your taxes done by local TurboTax experts for just $150 all in. And if the TurboTax experts didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. So Maryland basketball is back in action this weekend against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, a game that Maryland basketball can absolutely win. And I don't think I saw this coming. Maryland basketball has a chance to get its third win in a row. And I don't know what the line is. They'll have to check that out if it's come out and talk about that tomorrow. But I think they could be favored in this game on Sunday, February 15th, this weekend, 12 p.m. Against Rutgers. There's no more Sunday football, so it's college basketball from now on. And so you play a Rutgers team that I honestly think one of the few teams that Maryland is actually just better than. Like Rutgers just isn't very good. Like I think this is one of the few teams that Maryland's legitimately just better than. It doesn't happen very much so far this year. It's not something that is really something that we can depend on or something that's really going to happen. This year, Rutgers is 9-15, and the best part about it is they don't have two freshmen that can all of a sudden both drop 30 on you and you're in a close battle. They don't have that this year, and they're riding a pretty bad losing streak right now. They beat Northwestern, and they're playing decent ball at a point, have beaten Oregon, but ever since that Wisconsin game all the way up to our game now, they just lost games. They lost to Wisconsin 96-87, lost to Iowa 68-62, got smacked by Indiana, lost by 9 to Michigan State, lost by 3 to USC, lost by to UCLA by 22, lost to Nebraska by 12, and now they play us, Maryland. And so it's a team that is absolutely beatable, a team that we can actually really, I think we don't have to worry about talent. We don't have to scheme anything crazy up. Like they're 9-15 in the Big Ten right now, and they have some interesting guys. They have some guys that could potentially be better than us and beat us. But I also think overall as a team, I think we're better than what Rutgers is right now. I do. And I think with the way we're playing, it's a chance to get 3 wins in a row. And I think that's something that is important for Maryland, for Maryland basketball to get its 3rd win in a row and to beat this Rutgers team that you're clearly better than. Now, they have some guys like Tariq Francis, Dylan Grant, but other than that, like, I don't see much in this roster. I just don't. They don't shoot the ball particularly well. They don't do a ton of things very well. And so I think it's a game that Maryland could absolutely win and get another win on Sunday. I'm going to be keying in on the 2 freshmen, Andre Mills and Darius Adams. I feel like I'm running like a franchise, and I just want development within my top end players. And that's really what I want right now with Maryland basketball. I want the top guys to continue to get better. I want the young guys to continue to get better. The guys that are going to be back, and that's to figure out how to win games. And so it doesn't help to lose. This isn't the NBA. And so we're the 14th team in the Big Ten. Rutgers has some Big Ten wins. Now, like, let's not act like they're the worst team in the college basketball. And so it's a big game in terms of what Maryland can look like in the standings, and if we're one of the worst teams or if we're a little bit better than that. And so I think that's important for Maryland basketball to be able to do. Don't let this team with 2 Big Ten wins come back and get a 3rd one. Make sure you get to get another Big Ten win before they do. I think that would be big for Maryland basketball. But that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys for listening to Locked on Terps.